New Gods of Remnant by Nyanso Getsu, Chapter 16, Reasons to Rise, Interlude. If they think you're a god, perhaps it's time to start acting like one. You cannot be serious. No way that'll work. Right? Reasons to Rise, Interlude. A ruler needs to rule properly. God, king's headmaster. No matter what your role, one must lead and lead properly. Half-assing it only leads to disaster. Selim understood this crucial fact of leadership better than most. She was royalty herself after all. During her time with Osman, despite the awful ending of the relationship, she learned very much. Millennia of immortality had taught her more still. Trying to be a good leader wasn't simply necessary, but essential. Good, as they said, was not good enough. You must not just strive. They should strive. Weak leaders beget weak leadership, and weak leadership failure. She'd seen such things firsthand. One must be firm with one's subordinates and subjects, but not so firm that those working under you feel the need to rebel. By the same logic, you must be kind. You must be kind, yet no. You must be kind, yet no so naive as to be taken advantage of. Your people should love you, but they must not. But they must also fear you. It requires a delicate balance. One must focus on one task at a time. Too many cooks to spoil the broth and all that. Was that the same? She wasn't sure. This era was strange. Still, the fact remained that Naruto needed aid, and given her talent, she was uniquely suited to render it said aid. It was with this very mindset that she'd reluctantly taken up the position as headmistress Beacon. None challenged her, and why not? The last headmaster had been outed with the council during the now infamous Mount Glen scandal, and the deputy left in their place as a weak sort. What were they going to do? Tell her no? See how well that went with the Grim at their gates. Hunters were needed now more than ever. Without her to hold them in check, the Grim had gone feral. Indeed, she couldn't control them even if she wished to. Which wouldn't you know it? Made the protection of a god all the more valuable. Just think of it. Just thinking of it made her smirk. The months that followed had led to something of a boon in Bell, industrial and otherwise. Herself to help in Naruto, and Maria ruled the city of Bell. New rules were constructed, new laws introduced. In the future, they would be called the Golden Reforms. Fondness would be fond of them, if nothing else. Naruto had done more than break her curse. He given her a life again. He would have been within his rights to kill her once her mortality was stripped away. Instead, he taken responsibility. It amused her that many still thought of him as the god of light. How that horned bastard must be seething, and perhaps he was by the reckoning. But it served them well to maintain the facade. She would not allow any to harm him. She'd failed her first family once. She would not do so with the second, and with the brother gods. And if the brother gods had a problem with that, they could go bugger off. What does bugger off mean, mother? Salem shot up in her chair with a squeak, realizing she spoke in that last bit aloud. Nothing. It means nothing at all. Really? Little Glinda peered over her desk with a quizzical expression. If you say so. Her heart quickened against her chest. A precious child. Must protect him. Glinda tilted her head. Mother, it's nothing, sweetie. She patted her lap. Come here and tell me about your lessons. Glinda scurried over and hopped on up. Salem nearly fainted on the spot. She loved the children Naruto had taken in. Truly she did. But Glinda had a place near and dear to her heart. Although, come to think of it, young Summer and Tai would make for a fine match. She couldn't understand. Why Naruto and Maria were so indefatigably twitching about that. In her days, such arranged marriages were quite common, even among the common folks. And she did so love playing matchmaker. And Summer was practically a princess, given her father's lofty status, but it was not unheard of such a princess to follow her heart. And she did seem quite fond of that boy. They make beautiful children together someday. Wait, would that make her a grandmother? Talk would be a more difficult match. And Glinda were still. She'd yet to show interest in anyone outside the family. And speaking of family, a child of her now would be lovely indeed. Such would never replace her girls, of course. But she still liked the sound of that. Yes, she liked it very much. Mother, her hand tugged at her sleeve. Julie. And Salem coughed into her fist in a vain attempt to hide her now near atomic blush. At least Naruto wasn't here to see her in such a state. I think that's the first one, Mercedes. Think not of it, dear girl. Here, let me brush your hair. Running in embassy was a proper pain in the ass. Maria found chaos always seemed to crop up at the worst of times. Be it one thing or another, there was always a problem to deal with. Either someone had a bone to pick, supplies were being snatched by fools who thought they were going to starve. For folks thought they were greater than one another, or they just wanted to purge the non-believers. She loved it. Keep her busy. Her skills sharp. She wouldn't be getting rusty anytime soon. Winchester and Valkyrie put in good work, and though they could only be in so many places at once, she would always count on them to help her crack heads. They did damn good work. Really, things have been shipping up quite nicely in the last in the last 6 months. Salem had taken control of Beacon. Not both inspired and protected the people while she was called the Green Reaper for a reason. She wasn't afraid to get her hands dirty. Paper fluttered off her desk, flying past her silver eyes. She caught it, frowned now as she read its context. He'll want to see this. How are you still saying this again? Naruto felt heat sear up the back of his neck. It was all he could do to keep his eyes fixed forward. You're teasing me, aren't you? Kakashi Shadow Clone tilted a little, granting him smile behind his mask. Maybe the garden was a fine place for a chat. He found even if he wasn't used to such scenery, a fountain burbled pleasantly in the background as he lowered himself onto a stone bench. The trees above proving ample shade from the searing summer sunlight. It also kept prying eyes away. Anyone foolish enough to spy on the two of them, well, best not. I keep telling you, he waved a hand. We're not really married. Things are, well, they're good between me and Maria and Salem. He pinched the clone. His old sensei took the hint and climbed the bench opposite him. You say that, but I see the way they look at you. They're smitten. They probably say yes if you asked. Naruto could feel his face burning now. Worry about your own love life first. I suppose you're right. Salem would be the sword to propose. She was certainly brash enough, but she just well might expect him to do the same. Maria, well, she liked things the way they were between them right now. Why complicate it all with rings and vows and things? Let people talk. He didn't care. Life here was, well, it was a bit crazy, but it was his life. So he began apropos of nothing. What are you up to? I tell you, the doppelganger of his mentor shrugged. But that would ruin the surprise. Oh dear, Kakashi's surprises were seldom pleasant. He'd been on the receiving end of a few, no, more than a few, more than he cared to count. If the wild old Jonin was planning something now, well, he wasn't sure he wanted to be a part of it. By rights, he should bow out here and now. Curiosity nagged at him. His eyes narrowed. Good or bad, Mostly good for you. Kakashi's visible eye creased in a smile. Not so your enemies. He wasn't going to question that. He didn't need any more zealots running about after they caught the last batch. The city was heaving with people these days, many of which wanted to see him. Some even thought he could grant witches. So was he a damn genie or something? If only. Still, the odd batch of crazies aside, he was looking forward to the impending visit from Atlas. Chatting with his old mentor was nice and all, but he had to be careful around his clones for fear of dispelling him. He already kept him supplied with chakra just to make certain he wouldn't vanish when he wasn't looking. Fine. He leaned back with a shrug. And any chance you could maybe move that visit up yours a bit earlier? The real you, I mean. This is nice and all, but the shadow clone made a show of clutching a hand to his heart and swooning. You wound me, Naruto. Am I not enough for you? You know what I meant. I'd rather see you in the flesh. I won't have to. I won't have to stay hidden in a den. Vel couldn't know Kakashi was here. Not yet. It would ruin the plans that they'd made. Kakashi shot a clone quirked about. It's already been 6 months. He flung up his arms, and I don't think I'm gonna last another 3. Not keen on leaving, are we? I thought you of all people would be eager to go home. His brow forward, stung by the gentle jab. Where did that come from? It's a fair question, Kakashi said. You're happy here, aren't you? Not to open his mouth to refute that, closed it. He was actually, no, more than that. I've gotten attached. The realization startled him. He didn't want to leave Bell anytime soon if he could help things. No, if you what would happen to these people if he left them to their own devices. War, famine, disease. But he missed his friends. Kakashi was great, and really he was. But he was worried about Sasuke and Sakura. They don't hate you, Naruto. Leave it to the wily louse to read him like a book. They're just busy. He looked away with a sigh, feeling childish. And you're not. I am. The clone shrugged. But I've always been good at multitasking in shadow clones. They aren't. And besides, Sakura isn't exactly busy travel at the moment. Kurama perked up in his seal. Oh, that dribbling from Naruto. You haven't heard? Kakashi bailed on analyzing any doubt he might have heard. She's pregnant. Naruto's jaw clicked open. He forced it shut with a supreme effort of will. Kakashi saw it. You didn't know? It wasn't a question. I do now. That's nice, I guess. His lips pursed into a thin line. Sasuke and Sakura, huh? Good for them. I guess Sasuke wants to revive his clan. Why did that sting a little? He shoved the ugly thought away into the darkest recess of his mind. He shouldn't feel this way. He knew, but there was still the small part of him that was stung by it all. They hadn't even tried to find him, and he'd had his people searching all this time. Don't dwell on it. Hatake gave him a nudge. They'll come around sooner or later, and you found happiness of your own, haven't you? Maria's startled squawk echoed from the castle. Summer, Taka, put that down. Giggling echoed it. You'll never take us alive. The tiniest of smiles touched the corner of his eyes. Yeah, I guess I did. Thanks. Kakashi clapped him on the shoulder. What are friends for? Companionable silence stretched between them. He knew it couldn't last. It might not be possible. It might not be possible finding out a way back home in the first place. I'm in a hurry myself. Kakashi's clone looked away with rueful laugh. I've got 2 munchkins of my own to look after, and one trying to woo me. He added in a mutter aside. I try to imagine what Willow would be like when she's of age. Not heard it and quirked a blonde brow. Oh, I'm sensing a story there. Kakashi winced. Really, it's complicated. His eyebrow kept right on climbing. It is seriously higher now. Kakashi blanched, realizing too late his intent. You're not going to let me wooze my way out of this, are you? Not a grin, not a chance. You already know my story. I want to hear what you've been up to. He tapped the bench with one finger. Get to talking. Previous, Taiyan considered himself a lucky lad. He'd gone from a servant to living in the lap of luxury. He got to fight and eat every day, and he was growing strong. And besides, summer was nice, really nice. What more could a boy want? Atlas arrived with no small amount of fanfare. Battleships aside, they certainly brought no small amount of men. And they called me arrogant. The children stared one another down. Some closer to the head. Who are you? Cinder stomped Littlefoot. I asked you first. Honestly, both of you, behave. Willow took Cinder aside. Walkland took Talk and Ty, and Ty did the same to Summer. Maria plucked down besides him. Children are hell. This from the woman who chose to teach. One more word, and I will bite you. Promises. Naruto slapped a hand to his forehead. I can't take you anywhere nicer. Salem regarded the smoldering crater with a wince. To be fair, I wasn't trying to do that. I meant to turn them into a dog. Why a dog? Long live Ozma, Lord of Vacuole. Push Sakura. You're right on one condition. It does make things more difficult. I know it. Hear that, boys? He's scared. To decide if any of you live. Traitor, you said. He walked through the flames. Me, the same as you. A hand cupped his face, unscathed by fire. Ha! He threw his head back and cackled. I can't stop laughing at your words. You're calling me a traitor because I didn't live up to the ideals you set for me. That's hilarious. You intend to battle me then? Battle you, beat you, and spit on your grave. End of chapter 16. New Gods of Remnant by Nyan Sangetsu, chapter 17, Reasons to Meet. A funny thing about ninjas, you never know what to expect from them. A case in point, you didn't see this coming, did you? Of course not. No one did. There's beauty in simplicity. Reasons to meet. Taiyan considered himself a lucky lad, lucky and maybe a little cursed, given the strange twists and turns that life had thrown at him as of late. Rags to riches, that was his story. He'd gone from a no-name boy running letters to living in a place for crying, living in a palace for crying out loud. A simple servant thrust into the lap of luxury. Yep, that was him. It sounded grand on paper, and it probably was. But his new position came with several caveats. For one, he was expected to look after and mend three very energetic girls. When he was little more than a boy himself, he was also expected to be on his best behavior at all times and ever watchful. Bribes were not to be accepted under absolute any circumstances, no matter what. More than a few had tried seeking to win his favor, and when that failed, usurp his position outright. Tai Yang dutifully remembered both their names and faces when told Naruto of them. Needless to say, they were never heard from again. All in all, it was a good life. He got to fight and eat every day. Has a roof over his head and warm blankets to sleep in. Better yet, he was growing strong. Granted, he wasn't entirely sure about this whole god business, but that Naruto fella could do stuff Huntsman couldn't. What was that if not godly? He done right by him, so he'd repay the favor. What the boss says goes. His word was law. Simple as he'd spend the rest of his life repaying this debt. If that was what it took. And besides, the Summer was nice and pretty too. And she seemed to like him too. That was a good thing, wasn't it? He wasn't rightly sure how he felt about talking Glinda. He didn't know them well enough. But he felt that they could at least be friends. Now at long last, Atlas had come to call upon Belle. As much he'd been told to keep the three of them indoors. There had been a bit of a struggle at first, especially with Takam, but in the end, he managed to convince them of the necessity. It just wasn't safe out there, and not with all those battleships. The media was covering it digitally enough. They'd have to be patient and watch everything unfold on the television. So far, so good. Likewise, life was good, very good indeed. He was happy, healthy, and wealthy. What more could a boy? What tiny blitz was? What in the blazes was that? Atlas arrived in no small amount of fanfare. Battleships aside, they'd certainly brought no small amount of soldiers in their gates. Hundreds of men and women marching in unison, flanked by musicians on the ground. Glorious ships soaring into the sky. All the better speaker of the military might, with the eyes of the world upon them. Neither could hear them even all the way up here. They wanted to make a scene. No, they wanted to be seen. And today's display would ensure that they were. They'd love their parades, it seemed, or maybe they just liked the attention. Neither couldn't even bring himself to begrudge them that. Each kingdom had their pride and eccentricities after all. Far be it from him to judge. From his perch atop Vale's great wall, he watched the column creep closer, inch by inch, mile by mile, until they were all but on their doorstep. It was certainly a sight to see. This day would be remembered for years to come, regardless of the outcome. They didn't dare enter the city, of course, not with tensions at an all-time high, and not with him watching them like a hawk. Still, they were getting awfully close. Salem touched idly running a hand through her golden hair, and they called me arrogant. Perhaps they were. The world would change after today. It fell to him and Kakashi to determine that change. Maria nudged him with an elbow. He took her away just in time to see the brunette wink his way and tug down her mask. Not to blew out a quick breath. No time like the present, then. Time to face our door in public. So speaking, he stepped out into open air and let gravity sink its claws into him. Mercifully, the fall proved a swift one, even from this height. He dropped down, hit the ground like a meteor, and lighted in a pointed crouch, or one fist punching the dirt as he bent his knee. Classic superhero landing. That would look good on the camera, if nothing else. Little Summer and the rest might get a hoot out of it, if nothing else. Cameras clicked behind him, but in a rare show of decorum, not a soul dared to speak, even when he rose. Good. Paparazzi were a blight on his existence. Good to see they knew when to hold their tongues. Did you have to land like that? Kuruma grumbled sourly in his head as they finished climbing to their feet. Always heel on the knees. Maria lighted more nimbly on his left, while Salem drifted down on a gentle pulse of magic at his right. He spared a quick glance their way and started forward. Friendly folk. Maria gave Salem a quilling look. What? Can I not be honest? They're a pack of frightened mice. One of the smaller vessels saw them and landed well ahead of the troops to cut them off. Not a tense despite himself. It wasn't an act of war by any means, but it left the city anxious nonetheless. Right up to the moment the largest vessel touched down and opened its ramp, Naruto heard weapons click behind him. He waved them down, because he spied a familiar shock of gray hair within. Its owner strode down the gangway at a sedate pace. Paused, look around now, saw him, an arm rose and waved his way. Of course you do that. Telegraph your presence, why don't you? A snort slipped free from him. It was such a Kakashi thing to do. He nearly broke character then and there. He could feel the energy in the air, the anxious anticipation of what might or might not transpire in the next few minutes. He offered a certain curiosity himself. He was good friends with Kakashi, but the world didn't know that. Didn't know him. Just as Val distrusted Kakashi, so too was Atlas wary of him. Could they achieve peace, not just between him and Atlas, but the world as a whole? Time will tell. They strode towards one another. All the world held its breath. Naruto smiled softly. Unbeknownst to the others, they did agree to this beforehand. Him and Kakashi both. Shortly before, the latter dispelled his shadow clone. Now was the moment. If these people were so determined to declare them gods, if they refused to believe otherwise, if they truly wanted the show, Naruto cracked his knuckles. Let's give him a show. Maria and Salem wisely fell back, and not a moment too soon. Golden chakra engulfed him head to toe as he walked, growing larger with each passing moment. The startled soldiers shuffled as Kurama manifested, towering over them all in golden glory. Cries of shock and awe went up from the assembled Atlas contingent, mirrored in kind by his own followers. Because he wasn't alone. Only a few yards away, Kakashi had closed his eyes and pressed his palms together as they looked on. A swath of blue chakra engulfed his body. He conjuring a blazing azure Susanoo to match him. Now he didn't bother to hide his smile within Kurama. No one could possibly see it up here. His limiter still held plenty of orbital chakra left in him, and while it was slow to replenish itself, it did. Brought back memories. He knew how they must look to the outside world, to the countless cameras trained upon them, to the footage footage being broadcasted across the world. A mighty golden fox and a blue warrior armed and armored to the teeth. Giants, titans, straight out of myths. Two monsters staring one another down, preparing to battle. They lumbered forward slowly. The better to give their allies time to scamper out of the way. Wouldn't do to crush anyone underfoot after all. It barely took 3 steps to bring themselves within striking distance of one another, less to hear one another. Kakashi beat him to the punch, as he always did him. I think they're satisfied, not to spare a glance towards the shrieking teeming massive crowd below. I think so. He looked back to his mentor with a rueful smile. I'm surprised you can still do that. Truth be told, so am I. Kakashi rubbed the back of his head within his Susanoo. It takes a lot out of me. Let's get on with it, shall we? It's been a long flight. Now it was his turn to smile. Keep driving you that crazy? Kakashi groaned. You have no idea, shall we? Sure. He offered his hand first. Kurama mirrored him up ponderously with a massive golden limb. Kakashi paused just long enough to appear considerate. It then reached out with his Susanoo and clasped his forearm tightly. Master and student shared a wry smile. If the people of Remnant wanted a battle, they'd be sorely disappointed. Together, they shook hands and raised their free fists to the sky, piercing the very heavens themselves. On a whim, he raised his voice in a wordless shout. Kakashi did the same, no doubt laughing himself silly on the inside. The act paid off. Far below, everyone cried out. Naruto never knew who. Long live the gods. Soon enough, it was echoed by another. Others took it up, shouting slogans of their own. Long live Veil, long live Atlas, long live the Alliance. A great rousing roar went up from the crowd. Many would call it the dawn of a new era, the start of an empire for the two of them. It was just another Tuesday. Sasuke regarded the screen with a rueful smile. Bastards, he chuckled softly. The absolute bastards. Well, I can't stay quiet after that now, can I? Ha! Sakura pitched backwards onto the couch with a mere giggle, clutching her heavily pregnant belly, her legs kicking at the I told you they'd do that. Aspen leaned back from the television, eyes bulging. Madness, utter madness, complete utter madness. They'd all lost their minds, the lot of them. Not him, though. He was perfectly sane. Nay, he would not be taken in by this. He would not be fooled. Hunting. Ha! Ours is bigger. Not to thumb the talk on the back of the head. Willow and Cinder regarded them warily. For their part, Summer and Glinda were utterly at their ease. The children stared one another down. Some to the head. Who are you? Cinder stomped a little foot. I asked you first. Honestly, both of you, behave. Willow took Cinder aside, while Glinda talk, and Tai did the same to Summer. Maria plunked down beside him. Children are hell, and this from the woman who chose to teach you. One more word, and I will bite you. Promises. And don't concern yourself with him. Her hand found his throat, squeezing tightly. You have much greater things to worry about. And that, my boy, is why you never, ever anger a pregnant Sakura. Not to slap her hand to his forehead. I can't take you anywhere nice. Salem regarded the smoldering crater with a wince. To be fair, I wasn't trying to do that. I meant to turn them into a dog. Why a dog? Long live Asuma, Lord of Vacuole. Poor Sakura. You're right on one account. It does make things more difficult. I know to hear that, boy. He's scared. To decide if any of you live. Traitor, you said. He walked through the flames. Me? The same as you. A hand cupped his face unscathed by fire. Ha! He threw his head back and cackled. I can't stop laughing at your words. You're calling me a traitor, cause I didn't live up to ideal you set for me. That's hilarious. You intend to battle me then? Battle you, beat you, and spit on your grave. End of chapter 17.